Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
We also have joining us AMC's Alicia Malone.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be back from my trip.
Back from China? We're all back from a trip.
Yeah.
You from China.
Rub it in, rub it in. We also have director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened? John Schnepp.
Hey guys, I was also in China, but it was called Sacramento, California. I was at the SacCon. Thanks. It was great to see all you guys. I'm back. So.
Hey folks, listen, before we get started in the first official news of the day, as happens sometimes, after we finish writing the show notes in the morning, a new piece of news just happens to drop. And a little minor piece of news dropped just before, about an hour before we were going to do the show. More Star Wars casting. Major Star Wars casting, as it has been announced that Game of Thrones star Gwendoline Christie and Academy Award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o have been cast in Star Wars Episode 7. I mentioned a little my excitement that would come. I'm not gonna go so far as that in the idea that Lupita Nyong'o will go in this. Look, Gwendolyn's casting this is completely out of left field, but I love it. Yeah. I love it. So before I get into my kind of stuff, we should point out, too, that we've talked about that Lupita was a definite possibility to appear in this film. And, you know, even so far as our own Christian Harloff has said, no, I really believe this is going to happen. I thought, still a possibility, but Christian was, like, so definite. No, I'm telling you, Lupita is going to be in this movie. He was definite about that, so props to him. So anyway, Schnepp, you heard about this news just like a half hour ago. Yeah. Your thoughts on the casting?
I'm very happy to see that. Not only did they add 2 more strong female characters, but they added great actresses. I love, I'm sorry, what's her name, Gwendoline?
Yeah,
Gwendoline on Game of Thrones.
Christie.
Yeah, she's such a great character on that. I actually enjoy the little cutaways to like her journey right now in this season. And Lupita's an incredibly strong actress. So I know you guys were talking about having her be a Sith, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
My
right?
God, you have her as a Sith. You open the screen, you do a fade from a star field down to this world, and then zoom in on this world, and on the top of this building you see some kind of lightsaber fight, and the camera pans around, and as she's spinning around you see Lupita Nyong'o with like 2 red lightsabers in her hand.
Yes.
Done! I'm done.
See what I just did?
So
I opened up the John Campea sweat basket. He just exploded. I was like, what if she was a Sith?
I'd be so freaking excited.
Yeah, it's awesome casting.
Yeah,
Alicia?
I'm so excited. I mean, I think we all looked at that initial cast photo and everyone said, where are the women? And yeah, we're hoping that more women would come, but we weren't entirely sure. I remember talking about Lupita on this show and we're all so excited. So I'm really, really pleased to see 2 strong women, great actresses. Lupita is so strong and
she's great.
Beautiful. I think she's going to be wonderful.
Well, see, that's the thing. When you watch 12 Years a Slave and you understand and you can see the intensity and the subtlety. I mean, the thing that got her the Academy Award, I was talking to a friend of mine, is that in the same performance, she was able to bring us this insane intensity with an incredible subtlety all at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's a rare thing that you get an actor or actress who can actually pull that off and pull it off convincingly and pull it off well. You take an actress like that and drop her into the Star Wars universe. Wow! I'm really excited about this. I'm super stoked. So yes, that is all great. All right, let's get on to the first official story of the day.
John, I didn't bring the pee pads today, so you're going to have to take it down a notch.
I'm happy.
All right, a few days ago, reports emerged that Marvel has cast actor Josh Brolin as the voice of Thanos in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy. Thanos, as you remember, was the ominous being in the end of credits of the Avengers and is heavily speculated to be the ultimate main villain for Avengers 3. Guardians of the Galaxy opens in AMC theaters everywhere on August 1st. John, what are your thoughts on Josh Brolin voicing Thanos?
Well, you know, I kind of mentioned this on Mailbag this weekend, but I'll say it again. I have ceased being a big Josh Brolin fan. I used to be a big Josh Brolin fan, but when you run down his, like, the last number of years, whether it was Mob Squad or whether it was Jonah Hex or whether it was Old Boy or whether it, I mean, it's just not just bad films. I feel like he's been mailing it in ever since he gave us that incredible performance in No Country for Old Men. Although he did do a pretty damn good Tommy Lee Jones imitation in Men in Black 3. Let's give him
the
that.
best part of that movie.
So let's give him that. Absolutely. So I don't know, but at the same time, it's just voicing Thanos. He's not playing Thanos per se. He's going to be giving the voice of Thanos. Thanos is going to be like a 13-foot tall, Hulk-sized creature, and so he's going to be CG'd. Maybe Brolin will be doing some mocap. But I got to tell you, I'm not terribly excited for two reasons. One, I need Josh Brolin to win me back over. I really do before I'm going to get excited about him again. And he's capable of it. And every time he's got a new movie coming out, I'm like, please win me back over. But he hasn't done it yet. But the other thing is, once again, why do you need a big known A-list Hollywood celebrity to do the voice for it? I still don't get that. I don't understand that whatsoever, never have, never will. I really don't think the marketing push you're going to get out of it is really all that significant. So yeah, I'm underwhelmed by the news. Alicia, you heard about this. What do you think?
Well, if it's just a voice, then yeah, not that excited. But if they do use mocap, then that's when I'm intrigued, because Andy Serkis has shown us how much humanity you can bring a CGI character if you have a good actor underneath. And I do have hope for Josh Brolin. I think he has made a couple of poor choices, but he has played some great villains in the past, you know, in Planet Terror and Milk, and probably some would say W.
I liked him in Milk. I liked him in Milk. I really did.
He does have that presence and that charm and that little twinkle in his eye. So if he could bring that to this role, then it could be really interesting. But just a voice, it's like, meh.
Schnepp?
Well, I recently finally saw The Goonies.
Yay!
I'm seeing it for the first time in my life.
Finally.
Like 3 or 4 months ago, that Brolin did an incredible job. But you know what? I'm looking forward to him playing Dwight in Sin City: A Dame to Kill For.
Right.
That could be like where he levels back up. I think they're going to do motion capture with him. Why? I agree with you. Why hire him if you're not going to mocap his face as Thanos? He's not going to. I mean, I really would hope that they aren't just going to be like, here, dub this, and it's like he has to read the lines. So I'm hoping that they capture his acting ability. That would be the only reason I would see them casting him with our mocap abilities. Now, if they don't do that, it'd be kind of weird, I think. So, and also we don't know how big of a role he's going to have. So.
Right. Well, in Guardians of the Galaxy, very small. I'm sure it's going to be very, very small. But we know we're going to hear him talk.
Right. Right.
All right. What's next?
Is it confirmed yet, or is it still just?
I believe it's been confirmed.
Okay.
I believe at this point it's been confirmed. Could be wrong about that, but I believe it was confirmed.
With the departure of Edgar Wright from the upcoming Marvel film Ant-Man, the search for a new director continues. On Friday, it was reported that Marvel had narrowed their search down to Adam McKay of Anchorman, Step Brothers, and The Other Guys, Rawson Marshall Thurber from Dodgeball and We're the Millers, and Ruben Fleischer from Zombieland and Gangster Squad as the frontrunners to take over Ant-Man. It was later revealed that Marvel had decided on Adam McKay. However, McKay abruptly dropped out of the project once final negotiations started. In a tweet, McKay claimed he dropped out due to commitments to other projects. Snep, do you think McKay would have been a good director for Ant-Man?
Well, let's say this. Like, I lived in Chicago for 12 years, and I knew Adam coming up with the UCB, so I'm acquaintances with him. Love all of his films. When I heard on Friday that he was going to direct Ant-Man, it's such a different stylistic departure from Edgar Wright's directing and his, background of all of his films versus Adam McKay's background in all of his films and the way he directs films, and not just like the improv style, but he has his own style, obviously way different than Edgar Wright. So even though I'm pals with him, like we don't hang out, but I know him. I was a little like, wow, that's weird to me. I couldn't imagine him like, the Human Torch is getting a bank loan. Right. That's what I think of when I think of superheroes and Adam McKay. So it's like, was denied a bank loan.
Yeah.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Denied a bank loan. So I heard that he was going to direct it. I was like, that's really cool. It's going to be radically different in my mind. Directors in films add a lot of their own flavor to it. So regardless. And then hearing that he dropped out immediately after, because we were all in transit, so I was like on a plane, like, I got to turn my phone off. What? And then have to turn your phone off. So hearing this news all fractured and stuff, it was weird. Him dropping out, even stranger, like, well, why was he even in for the beginning if he already had decisions? But I think contractually, we all know how Marvel do their contracts with people, where it's like, it's very inclusive and binding, and my guess is something in the contract was a little too binding for him, so he was like, you know what, I'm going to continue rocking on some of the other projects. So I don't know who they're going to get.
I mean, looking at the stories, it's kind of these two major comic book stories come out at the same time. It was kind of between this and the Josh Brolin thing. And I should mention, by the way, the Josh Brolin thing was broke by a friend of mine, El Mayembe, from over at Latino Review, who I give a very hard time to sometimes. But every once in a while, he breaks some of the biggest scoops out there, and that's been confirmed. So props to Latino Review for breaking that Josh Brolin thing. With this one, I am concerned. I'm concerned about this because when you, not just Adam McKay, who everybody knows how much I love, Anchorman, everybody knows how much I love Step Brothers. That's probably my favorite Will Ferrell one. But anyway, whether it's Adam McKay, Marshall, like Ross and Marshall, whether it's Ruben Fleischer, it seems like they're all going for yuck comedy directors. And to me, that's concerning. Like I mentioned this on Mailbag the other day. When you have this Marvel Cinematic Universe, that humor is one of the cornerstones of their properties, absolutely. But that humor is always juxtaposed against like legitimate world threat, like there's stuff at stake here. There's a dramatic element to it as well that I believe makes the humor even funnier, and it works great. And then I look down at this list of directors, and it's all yuck comedy directors. And I love me yuck comedy, don't get me wrong. It just doesn't feel like the right fit. And while I love Adam McKay, I think he's awesome, I didn't want him to direct Ant-Man. Like running down this list as well, whether it's Ross and Marshall Thurber. I love Dodgeball. I don't want the Dodgeball guy directing Ant-Man. You know, Ruben Fleischer. Okay, I like Zombieland, but then I saw what he did with Mobster Squad. That movie was terrible.
Squad, yeah.
And so I'm looking at this list. I'm thinking, there's no names here that I would be excited about being a fit for Ant-Man. But then again, I thought the same thing about Anthony and Joe Russo directing Captain America 2. I sat back, I remember thinking...
The guys from Community?
Yeah, the guys from Community. Well, they're going to direct this? Okay, that's weird. And look how awesome that turned out. So I have apprehensions, but maybe I should quell my apprehensions. But anyway, Alicia, what do you think?
It is strange how they've chosen such 4 different comedy directors. They all have completely different styles. You know, Edgar Wright makes really smart comedies that are super multi-layered. And then Adam McKay has this absurd thing going on that I love. Rawson does broad comedies. And then Ruben Fleischer, I think he would be my choice out of the 4 just because he is a film buff. So I would love to see him bring in some classic film elements into Ant-Man. I trust Marvel and what they choose. I'm just still sad it's not Edgar Wright.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm looking down this list. I'm like, where's the Kenneth Branagh name in there? Where's the, you know...
They do try different styles with all their films.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we all know Ant-Man's going to be a comedy now.
Yeah.
That's kind of out of the bag.
Paul
No
Rudd
more
as
secret
well,
about
isn't it?
that. Yeah, we've got Paul Rudd. They're looking for comedy directors. Well, no, it's a Marvel movie, but it's real. I don't know if it's yuck, but
right.
you know.
But you know, until he proves otherwise, I'm going to trust Feige. He's earned it.
Yeah.
He did it with the Russo brothers.
Exactly.
So I feel apprehensive about it, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Yes.
But think about this. Imagine like he's out to save everyone. He's Ant-Man. That's kind of corny, but if they make it funny, it fits better. So it actually works better.
Smart.
Is inherently corny.
Yeah.
So it's going to be. That's why I thought it would have taken like a Kenneth Branagh hand to balance that out. But they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm
go
nervous.
for laughs. I'm talking to ants. I'm talking to ants.
Yeah.
You know, it could be amazingly great.
It is worrying that people keep dropping out, though. I don't know about the script.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Crystal Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Alicia, Schnepp, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Crystal Lee, what do we got?
The weekend box office numbers are in, and the new Angelina Jolie film Maleficent took first place with $70 million at the domestic box office and $170 worldwide. In second place was X-Men Days of Future Past, taking in another $32 million at the domestic box office, bringing its worldwide total up to $500 million, making it the biggest X-Men film of all time, surpassing X-Men The Last Stand. In third place was the new McFarlane comedy A Million Ways to Die in the West, making just $17 million on its opening weekend. Alicia, buy or sell these box office results?
I buy because once again it proves that a female-led movie can make a lot of money at the box office. I mean, obviously it's helped by the fact that it's a PG film, so more people can see it than the R-rated Million Ways to Die in the West. But I love what Disney is going for with this new female empowerment message, as opposed to the Disney films I watched when I was young, which was all about waiting for a prince to save yourself and make everything all right. It's great that X-Men is doing so well, continues to do well. But yeah, I'm just hoping for more female-led films, that results like this will just keep them coming.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy this. I think when you talk about, this was the film that not just people under 18 could go see. This is the one that families were going to take their kids to go see. Jolie gives one. It sounds weird to say it in a film like this. One of the best performances she's ever given. I'm gonna admit I'm not a big fan of the film overall, but her performance alone is worth seeing. Like, she's incredible in it. Visually, it's just It's a beautiful film to look at, and so that's cool. X-Men: Days of Future Past. In 9 days, it has become the highest-grossing X-Men film of all time. In 9 days. So that number is just going to just keep growing. Million Ways to Die in the West has stumbled out of the blocks. And I think we all knew that it wasn't going to have Ted numbers, but Ted made, what, close to 50 opening weekend?
Yeah.
And now its follow-up with Million Ways to Die in the West is 17. That's disappointing. Now, we also have to understand what it was playing against. X-Men is still in theaters, and everybody was going to go see Maleficent. So, I mean, it had stiff competition. Let's see if it has legs after this week.
There's a million ways to die at the box office.
You've been waiting all day to say that.
Ding. I just thought of it, man, just right off the top of my head. Anyway, I'm doing dishes at Camp Pia's house because I lost this bet. Dressed as Whoopi Goldberg.
Right.
I'm swapping out as Miss Doubtfire, though. But yeah, I'm really happy to hear that news, though, that X-Men, even though I'm not making any of that money, I'm still happy to hear that it's the most successful X-Men film because I feel it's the best.
Yeah,
I think we all agree.
it is the
like,
best X-Men
It's
film
great.
so
I haven't
far.
had a chance to see Maleficent yet, so I'm going to check it out this week. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to see Angelina's performance. So.
All right, what's next?
A brand new poster and trailer for the upcoming Eli Roth horror thriller, The Green Inferno, has just hit the web. The film follows a group of students, activists, who travel from New York City to the Amazon to save the rainforest. However, once they arrive in this vast green landscape, they soon discover that they are not alone and that no good deed goes unpunished. John, buy or sell the trailer for The Green Inferno?
A very surprising buy. I thought this sounded weird the first time I heard it. I thought it was a really dumb title. Still think it's a dumb title, but holy crap, I loved this trailer. This trailer sucked me in, and it is a signature Eli Roth film. Like, it's got Eli Roth written all over it. And sometimes that's a great thing, sometimes that can be a hindrance, but in this case, every frame of this trailer sucked me in. It was well-paced. I'm like, I'm on board. I suddenly went from being completely disinterested in this movie to being completely on board. For me, it's a buy.
It's a buy for me too. I think it looks beautiful, which is a weird thing to say about an Eli Roth torture porn type movie. It's his first film in 7 years that he's actually directed. And it's so interesting how he took the cast and crew to the Amazon, worked with a real tribe. He actually showed them the first movie that they've ever seen, which was the 70s grindhouse flick Cannibal Holocaust, which I haven't seen, but a lot of people
for
say
their first movie.
it's like this film.
This is what you'll be doing.
Yeah, it's also really intriguing that he says he wants this to look like a Werner Herzog or a Terrence Malick type movie. And you can kind of get a sense of that with the very exotic jungle locations in this movie. So even though I will be watching it like this, it's a buy for me.
Speaking of Werner Herzog, I remember him doing this interview in this jungle once, and I may be getting some of the words wrong, but he's doing this documentary on the jungles, and Werner Herzog is just one of the coolest cats you could ever come across. He's like, people hear the song, the birds sing, and the animal noise in the jungle, and they think, oh, listen to the beautiful songs. I hear cries of pain. I hear screams of anguish. The jungle is pain and darkness. It's like, that's Werner Herzog.
Yeah, that movie is called Burden of Dreams. It's called Burden of Dreams. You should see it. It's all about him making Fitzcarraldo. It's a young Werner, but yeah, he's like, the pain, the suffering of all the animals, that is what I hear. We are 500 miles away from everything. Yeah. Remember, he just like, he literally took his entire crew 500 miles into the jungle so they could not escape, literally. We must all live here and live this film.
Is that the same movie where he was actually shot while he was doing the interview? Was that another one he was?
No, that is the same movie.
That's the same one, yeah. Okay, anyway.
I think it was Klaus Kinski. He was like, he was raving. Klaus Kinski's a raving madman. So it's so crazy. I don't even know what I said.
Okay,
anyway,
buy or sell the trailer?
I buy The Green Inferno. The reason I buy it is Eli Roth's, both of his films, Hostel and Hostel 2, are incredible, amazing horror films. Then he disappears for a while. Now we see a return to his classic style of horror filmmaking. I don't know if you liked Hostel or not, but I love both of those films because they have a really slow build. Hostel 2 is also all about female empowerment. So when you see The Green Inferno, I think you can say, I'm going to be seeing an Eli Roth horror film. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, what's next?
The upcoming reboot of Paramount's Friday the 13th has just been pushed back 6 months. The new Jason film had been slated to open on March 13th of next year, but will now hit AMC theaters on November 13th, 2015. Schnepp, buy or sell the new Jason movie being pushed back 6 months?
I sell it. I don't know why they're pushing it back, because it feels like March would be a great time to open the new Friday the 13th. Unfortunately, I don't even know if they're using the new Jason, Derek Mears. He did a great job as the new Jason. I don't know if they're doing a brand new, new reboot. It's been so many years since they rebooted it. I'm kind of lost about it, but it's a strange decision to open a horror film in November. You know, is it a Christmas movie? I don't know. I don't get it. So.
Yeah, it's a sell for me, and I don't really care too much about this one. But I'm intrigued to see whether the director from VHS, David Bruckner, is going to take this on and if he'll do the found footage style. But we don't know anything about this movie so far. And then to hear it being pushed back is never really a good sign. Although maybe it has something to do with, there's a TV show I think that's been announced, a spin-off series, and maybe that will happen. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it, actually. I mean, this is one of those just iconic Hollywood titles that has just been kind of meandering and floating around and not really doing anything, just kind of being there. And we haven't heard any movement on it at all. But they still want to do it. Let's face it, early 2015 is not doable anymore. They had to push this thing back. And the reason I'm going to buy is because just by pushing it back 6 months, it means, okay, so they've got a track that they're on. It's just a track that ain't going to get them to the destination on time for the early one. So even though I'm nervous about this franchise, and I wasn't thrilled with the last incarnation and a lot of them, to be honest, it's still, Jason is Hollywood royalty. I think there's a lot of us who may be very put off by the sounds of Friday the 13th right now, but that are still would love to see a reemergence of an awesome Friday the 13th horror film. I think a lot of us would love to see that, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that comes out. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we're going to try to save a couple of minutes at the end of the show as well, so for those of you watching us live, you can tweet some questions to us right now at AMC Movie News, and the gatekeeper, Chris Lee, will keep her eye on that. But for now, let's do the Mailbag questions. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
Kyle Carragher writes, hey AMC movie crew, I'm a huge fan of the show. I was wondering, if Hugh Jackman was to retire from playing Wolverine, do you think he could or should somehow die? I personally think it would be a great send-off for him. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Nope, the character is bigger than the actor. I completely believe that. When Hugh Jackman eventually decides to retire as Wolverine, I'm sure by that point, because he's going to be around probably for at least 2 more films. So we're talking for about another 3 to 4 years, we're going to have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And if at some point he decides to retire, they're probably getting close to when they're going to reboot the franchise anyway. But even if they were not, no, I don't. Look, the character is more important than the actor playing him. It just is. And so you don't take the most important, beloved character in Fox's X-Men movie universe and just take him out just because the actor who has been playing them isn't going to be there anymore. Do we want Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine? Obviously. He's getting better and better. Every single movie, he's a better Wolverine than the one before. But when he does decide to retire, just pass it on. So anyway, Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. James Bond. How many like 10 different guys have been James Bond. Hulk. There's been at least, besides Lou Ferrigno, there's 3 different Hulks, cinematic Hulks. Punisher, 2 different Punishers. Batman, 4 different Batman cinematically. Spider-Man, 2 different Spider-Man. So it's going to happen. Superman. The list goes on. We only care about this because he has been consistently Wolverine, and he's been so great as Wolverine. So we kind of would love to see him continue. Yeah, 2 more movies. We know that that's going to happen. What if he does Old Man Logan or continues at least 4 more movies would be great. You know, I'm happy with whatever he ends up wanting to do. He's a great Wolverine, but obviously when he's done, there's going to be a brand new Wolverine. They might just reboot the original X-Men again. Look, everyone's getting older.
At some point they got
the original cast are all in their 40s and 50s now. So, you know, in 10 years from now, they're going to want to reboot it and bring in 20 and 30-year-olds to play the X-Men. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just going to happen. Can we just get the other Wolverine movies gone a little faster now so we can get maybe 3 or 4 of them with you? So that's what I'd say.
Alicia?
Yeah, I think Hugh's talk of retirement is a bit of like a deal-making exercise. Like, hey, more money over here. Such a great affection for him as this character that I do not want to see him die. that would kill me. So I don't think they will. As you say, he's such a great character. He'll go on to be other actors, but Jackman for as long as we can.
Yeah, you know what's funny though about Jackman's Wolverine? I still remember the long time ago when it was announced that Hugh Jackman was going to be Wolverine, and everybody was, this is WTF, the guy does Broadway singing. He's gonna start. We're gonna ruin Wolverine. And now, fast forward a few years later, it's like nobody can be Wolverine but
Plus
Hugh
he's
Jackman.
too tall. He's 6'5". Wolverine's supposed to be 5'2".
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's next?
Evan writes, started watching the show for the past few months and love it. I wanted to ask you about one of the trailers that were played right before X-Men Days of Future Past. I was really intrigued by Kingsman, The Secret Service. It's coming out in October and looks like a really cool film since it's directed by Matthew Vaughn and stars Colin Firth and Samuel L. Jackson. I wanted to see if you had any overall thoughts and opinions about the film. Thanks and keep up the amazing work.
I think it looks awesome. I think it looks really good. Like, I had not seen the trailer prior to my screening of X-Men Days of Future Past, so it was a surprise to me. I didn't know it was going to play. Colin Firth is awesome. I mean, if you have not seen King's Speech, it is honestly, I'd say, one of the 3 best male performances we've seen in the last decade. I'd still say the absolute best one is from There Will Be Blood, but I would put Colin Firth's performance in the King's Speech way up there. He's automatic. He's money in the bank when you put him in. He's just that reliable. The story looks great. It's got a little bit of a young James Bond kind of feel to it. I love the trailer, so I'm excited about it. Alicia?
Yeah, and I know you love Matthew Vaughn too.
Yes, who's directing it?
He's
That's right.
directing it, and he's got such cool visuals, kind of timeless production style, and awesome action. We saw that in Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class, so I hadn't heard anything about this movie till I saw X-Men, and then this trailer played, and I thought, oh, this looks so good. I'm in. Manners maketh the man. I love Colin Firth.
And don't forget, Vaughn also directed, I think, the
Layer
most
Cake.
underrated film of all time, Stardust.
Oh,
Yes.
Stardust.
I love Stardust.
Same here.
Yes.
Vaughn is so versatile. Anyway,
Yeah, Stardust is really underrated.
go
I think
about
even more
Stardust.
underrated than Layer Cake, and I actually loved Stardust way more than Layer Cake.
Really?
It's like, but anyway, Matthew Vaughn, his style is all throughout this film. Like, it reminded me little flourishes of First Class, even with some of that Bondian style stuff. It comes obviously from the comic book, Mark Millar's comic, just called Secret Service, drawn by Dave Gibbons. And if you haven't checked that out, check it out if you want. It's probably filled with spoilers because here's the movie. But it's weird that they added Kingsman. So, you know, I think maybe just to differentiate it a little bit.
because you hear here in North America, you hear Secret Service, you instantly think of the President of the United States bodyguards, right? So I think adding that at the beginning was probably a good move.
Yeah, I agree. It differentiates it from, oh, it's just some kind of spy thriller. No, this is a little different.
A little bit different. All right, folks, well, we said we'd leave a couple minutes for your live questions. So if you're on Twitter, tweet to us at AMC Movie News. Crystal Lee has been monitoring it. She's the one who picks what gets asked. So, Crystal Lee, what are people asking in the Twitter stream?
Holy mackerel, I think I'm allergic to something in here today. All right, Ariel Noel wants to know, is there a chance to see Enchantress as a villain in Thor 3?
Well, as they're going into Thor 3, they're going to have to start digging a little bit deeper into their canon. She's a great character. I think there's a very good chance we'll see her.
Yeah, I would love for them to deal with the Surtur storyline and Beta Ray Bill. But, you know, they could squeeze Enchantress in there. I have my own druthers as far as what they do with the third Thor. I don't know if they'll do a fourth Thor or fifth Thor, but, you know, who's to tell?
Alicia?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know too much about Enchantress, but if it's female...
Oh, well, actually, if they bring in the Enchantress, they're going to have to bring in the Executioner, because they usually come, you know, hand in hand.
I think... didn't they use the Enchantress's sister in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so they're already kind of opened that door, so it
interesting.
makes sense that they could use her. All right, what's next?
John, you're going to like this one.
Okay.
David wants to know, do you think once GSP retires from MMA, he could become a bigger action star than his French counterpart, Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I don't know. I don't. The GSP, pound for pound, best fighter in the world. I think he would have beaten Anderson Silva if they fought in their heyday at a catch weight. I know a lot of people disagree with me. That's fine. GSP is awesome. He's stylish. He's smooth. Whatever. But he does struggle with English a lot. Now, so did Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Can GSP even look? If you're just going to go straight 80s action star-ish, then your acting ability becomes almost irrelevant, all right? Arnold, Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? Not the pinnacles on the Mount Rushmore of thespians of the ages. So you've got that going for you. But this isn't the 80s anymore. But could George be a great side villain, side character in these actioneer types of things like he was in Captain America, like he's probably going to be in the Bloodsport remake? He could totally make a very good career doing that moving forward. But an actual action star, it just ain't the 80s anymore. I don't know if you can get away without being a great actor, and he's not. So anyway, Alicia, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about MMA. I know it's surprising to look at me, but I think you're right that these days that wouldn't happen. I mean, Arnold is such an anomaly. Jean-Claude Van Damme, we love for his cheesy 80s action films, and also the Expendables. But yeah, maybe he'd be in Expendables or something like that, but I'm not quite
He would
sure.
fit in great in something like that.
Right. I don't really know that much about MMA or GSP, MP.
Georges St-Pierre.
JCVD.
Yeah, RPG, MSG. I don't have anything for it. But yeah, I would love to see. He was great in Captain America, so why not give him a few more lines, have him expand out into a villain? Is he the lead in Bloodsport?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he could keep growing as an actor, so.
All right, what's next?
Michael Sanders wants to know if you think we will get a Robocop versus Terminator crossover film.
No, I don't think we're ever going to see that. It's great to imagine and think about in your head and everything, but no, they're out of time with each other. I just don't. Nah.
Well, Frank Miller wrote a great comic book called Robocop versus Terminator. It was drawn by Walt Simonson. Buy that. That's what you're going to get. That's it.
Yeah.
I feel it's not going to happen.
Can't see it happening, but that would be kind of awesome.
All right, what's next?
Ian Carroll wants to know if you think that with the new Days of Future Past timeline, do you think it is possible to see Nightcrawler in Age of Apocalypse?
It's absolutely possible. They never got rid of Nightcrawler. Like Nightcrawler just is kind of like that cousin nobody likes in the family. Just kind of stopped showing up. Like they never explained where he went, whatever. All we know is that he's this big key important part of X-Men at the end of X-Men 2, then poof, just like his teleporter ability,
Bam.
he's gone.
Yeah.
Maybe he went back to seminary. Maybe he went back to finish his theological degree.
They break him out again.
Like I just don't know, but he just kind of disappeared. So yes, absolutely. Even if it wasn't for the new timeline, the door is completely there and open for him to come back anytime they want. It's just not going to be, coming. It's just not going to be, Alan doing it again. So what do you guys think?
Well, my favourite bit about the X-Men Days of Future Past, it was so clever the way that they wiped the slate clean.
Yeah.
Anything can happen now, and they can fix anything from the past they didn't quite explain.
All the continuity errors are
just like,
fixed.
Whatever, let's do it all. That was so clever. That blew my mind. So I think you could see any character back at any time.
Anybody could be there.
Yeah, and who's to say Alan Cummings wouldn't show up for like one scene? Mend those fences, so to speak. I'd love to see Nightcrawler bamf back into the X-Men.
I loved his accent in X-Men 2. I thought it sounded really
Yeah.
good.
He was a great character.
Yeah, he was. All right, what's next?
Oh, sorry, didn't know we were going to another one. Terrence Fisher, are comic books movies headed towards being more story-oriented versus action-based like X-Men Days of Future Past and Captain America 2 were?
Well, the funny thing about that is that when you really sit back, this is the genius of Captain America 2. When you sit back and look at it, there is a lot of action in that film, and great. I contend the best fight choreography we've ever seen in a comic book film. I mean, those fights were
the parkour stuff, awesome.
And it's not just the GSP stuff, all the stuff with Winter Soldier and everything. Those combat scenes were incredible. The big set piece at the end with the helicarriers was terrific. And you have some great action in X-Men Days of Future Past 2. But yes, we are, as audiences, we are now demanding, rightfully so, more and more from these comic book films. Because now when they, look, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, 10 years ago, might have been received a lot better. But our standards have changed. We are now in a post-Dark Knight era. We're in a post-original X-Men era. We're in a post-Avengers era. Our expectations and our demands for the quality of these comic book films have gone up. And now with Captain America 2 and X-Men Days of Future Past, they're just getting pushed even more up. So now if you deliver a subpar comic book film without great witty dialogue and characters you care about and good stuff, you deliver a comic book movie without that stuff, it's going to be shunned, and rightfully so. The cream, in the words of Apocalypse, the weak will be culled and the strong will survive. And that's what we want in these superhero movies. We want the best to make better. You know what I mean? And we want the weak to fall off. And I think that's what's going to happen. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that it's getting more and more sophisticated. The audiences are starting to understand these characters more. And I like when a film like X-Men and Captain America 2, where it's done that both non-comic book fans and comic book fans can really enjoy. I mean, if you look at Days of Future Past, there must be a lot of stuff in there for comic book fans to piece together. But for me, not reading any of the comic books, I really enjoyed it on every level. And I think these days, audiences have seen so much action that it's getting harder and harder to impress you with action scenes, so they have to bring it with the story. I'm glad they are.
Sure.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest exciting moments for me of watching X-Men as an entire film is that it's really well put together from beginning to end.
Yeah.
All the story elements and the characters, the story matters first. Magneto and Xavier's conversation, argument on that plane is epic. It's not a fight, it's two people realizing they've wronged
One
each
sitting
other.
down,
And
one
it's
standing up,
tense
talking,
as well.
and it's one of the best scenes of the movie.
And it's all through composition. It's how directors like Bryan Singer returns in a really great way as an auteur and a person with command of the screen, you know, and that to me is like really important in action scenes where you could just have little characters flying around in CG and nothing matters if you have too much action. But when you have action that's really well choreographed and storyboarded and the composition is set the way it should be, everything flows together and matters because the story matters. So it fills that void. That's why X-Men is such a great film.
All right, folks, well, that'll do it for us. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of AMC Movie Talk. Don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video. You'll find links to our iTunes. And listen, if you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button and become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. I want to thank the folks sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my right, all the way back from China, Miss Alicia Malone. Alicia, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Alicia Malone or on malonesmovieminute.com.
Sitting right next to her, writer director, Mr. John Schnepp, all the way back from Sacramento.
The hour and a half, I was completely drained on the plane. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at John Schnepp, and I'll be in Phoenix Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Phoenix Comic-Con, so come say hi.
And of course, our lovely host today, Miss Chrissie Kennedy. Chrissie, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissie.
And you can find me on all the various social media networks just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.